Yeah, you could come a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Are we good to go?
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, welcome for coming, or thank you for coming today. The three of us, this is a joint event between all three of us candidates, and it's significant in what's been going on for us. And we want you to be aware of things and how it has an impact on voters and our ability to speak just honest things that we're trying to propose, okay? I'll read from a prepared statement. There are 6 mayoral candidates in the 2020 race. The three of us standing in front of you today do not benefit from the name recognition that the incumbent, past mayor, and ex-minister enjoy. As such, we are uniquely positioned to recognize systematic flaws in the civic democratic process. The question we have come together today to pose is, how do you make space in civic elections so that everyday people like us are engaged and motivated to step up as candidates to serve, and that citizens care enough to cast their vote? COVID-19 has really highlighted issues. There are a few candidates that have bought so much share of the advertising voice out there that is almost impossible for others with less or any third-party funding to be heard. That is where community radio, citizen and business groups like CFCR, Livable YXE, the USSU, the NSBA, for example, have really been able to contribute to democracy. And they have most definitely helped to level the playing field.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming and giving us such an opportunity to explain and give our views for this joint media conference. So as Terry has mentioned those things, so I will continue. However, unfortunately, too many times in this race we have seen mainstream media making default assumptions about which candidate in race matter the most, without any polling information or individual policy analysis to back that up. I think all of us here today would agree that democracy is built upon ideas and it requires engaged citizens to participate in the truly successful. If those ideas are not reaching the eyes and the ears of the citizens because either candidates cannot afford to reach them effectively or the media fails to include those ideas in their roundups or forms equally, then it is all of us who lose in the end. That last civic election had 40% of the turnout, which, although much higher than the previous civic elections, is still far from where we all agree it needs to be. As a city, we should be aiming for more, and we all have our part to play in it. Policy changes are needed, and the leaders collaborate to bring solutions. Thank you.
So before we go any further, my name is Mark Zilke, and I'm one of the 3 candidates. I want to thank you, Darren and Kerry, for having me join them today. Continuing on with solutions for safeguarding our democracy. As such, we have 5 recommendations, and hope whoever occupies the mayor's chair come November the 10th will commit to making these specific changes. Number 1, lower campaign maximum mayoral marketing budgets at 75 cents per capita, or $229,000. That's a significant sum of money for most individuals. Access to money and privilege should not be a barrier to anyone wanting to step up and put themselves forward to serve the city of Saskatoon. We recommend 25 cents per capita, or a $76,000 maximum. In addition, we would also like to see a lower individual donation threshold of $100. This would further discourage the influence of corporations, unions, political parties, and such in our city elections, our civic elections. Carrie's got a candidate information guide from the City of Regina, which actually shows and backs this up. Number 2, positive discrimination. Our multicultural diversity in Saskatoon should allow equal participation in our democracy. This is critical if we want to see other folks who are completely unrepresented right now in our city to participate. Number 3, citizen engagement. We suggest providing training workshops for citizens to learn about municipal governance and how they can be engaged. Number 4, a voters list for our city. Voters lists are required for federal and provincial elections. This should also extend to civic elections. And number 5, creation of a media gallery for elections. We recommend the gathering together of all media outlets with both mass media, this includes newspaper, TV, radio, and community-based media, as in community radio, citizen advocacy, and groups. We ask them to collaborate and to come up with a set of standards for fairness of coverage, debate formats, and transparency on any polls conducted. And with that, we will take any questions that you have.
At the beginning, it was mentioned that there wasn't a name recognition. What about starting off in council like Atchison and Clark did, as opposed to going straight to the mayor?
So first of all, everybody has to start somewhere. When you have news groups such as CKOM or CBC already while advanced polling is already open, deciding how voters should vote, and sharing, for example, at CKOM's mayoralty roundup, they excluded the 3 of us. And that is, I would argue, that's verging on voter tampering. That's getting in the way of democracy. You know, most of us here today, all of us are wearing poppies. People fought and died for the democracy that we have. And, you know, when you have folks like CKOM, CBC, who did a mayoralty forum, where they gave the 3 quote-unquote most notoriously known career politicians the opportunity to debate, and also live streamed it when they only gave 3 of us, Carrie, Zubair, and myself, less than 5 minutes each. That's undemocratic. It's also voter manipulation.
And I want to add into that was only on the landline of phone. It was not a live coverage like they have given to those 3 of the others. You know.
So, you know, we all have our own ideas in this election. We're all trying to do what we think is right for our population. For Regina to have a, say, $68,000 limit on the mayor's budget, and ours is $220,000, we have to ask why ours is so high. I think that it distracts from what the real situation of our citizens is. I know there's lots of people that can't afford to give anything, so you got to wonder where all this money's coming from. But also, perhaps the focus should be more on the ideals that we all present. You know, good ideas can come from any source. It doesn't mean we're all going to get elected, but any of us could have a really good idea for a society. And if we can't get those things out, going back to the same people who have gone through their old ideas and are recouping them to start again, doesn't necessarily hold better for us. All my colleagues here, we just want things to be better. And, you know, being told on Friday, I had phone calls, is like, why didn't you take part in the mayor's debate? I said, I did. Well, CKOM said that the 3 mayors had their live debate last night, and they didn't even mention it. Like, you could have at least said, you know, the 6 of us were at the debate and talked about the highlights of 3 of them. Okay, that's, I guess, fair. I can't necessarily, but to not even mention that we were there was almost insulting. And then for CBC to do quick little phone interviews and say, well, we're going to run your 3 one day and we're going to run the other 3 another day, which is what I was told. And all of a sudden they did a live debate with the 3 mayor candidates yesterday, and we weren't even mentioned and talked about, really. So, too much of this. I mean, we're trying hard. I think that we bring different things to the table, and we shouldn't be just sold under, you know, thrown under the rug because we're not as well known. Maybe that's our selling point. So,
Sorry, I just want to add in this, because those 3 candidates, they have already known to the public too much. They've been holding the public office before. I don't understand why media is just giving them this much coverage, whereas they have to focus on us because we want to bring the real change. It depends upon the, totally entirely on those residents and the citizens of the Saskatoon, whoever's platform they like, whoever they want. If they want to just rely on those who built a failure, not even providing a voter list in the Saskatoon, serving the Saskatoon for 23 years as a councillor or as a mayor, 13 years, he has not done anything bringing the year-round tourism in this city. He has not done providing this voter list. He has not done reducing the taxes, property taxes. So how they can be promoted again and they will become the mayor of this city again, I really surprised.
And I would offer the following, and that is this. If you have news outlets like CKOM, CBC trying to influence voter outcomes, first of all, then the question I have for you folks gathered here today is, are you actually doing journalism or are you just simply tabloid reporters? Because the way it's currently being run is a disservice to our community. Number two is that we've just watched south of the border mainstream media and folks like you who have a lot of times contributed to the unrest and uncertainty and the unfairness of actually presenting citizens with a true story. And so with that, hopefully not only would this bring some possible solutions for you folks and for the folks of Saskatoon, but also keep in mind that folks deserve better from, and I'm going to articulate again, CKOM, CBC, and others who have already slanted this election in other candidates' favors. It's completely abysmal, and it's lacking of respect of democracy here in Saskatoon.
Do you have any questions? So, to you guys, we want to spread this message that the residents and the citizens of the Saskatoon should choose with their own will and with the ideology and the platforms, whichever they like. They should not be manipulated or influenced under those who have just created that form or debate just for those three. Thank you.
I have a question, if that's okay. Mr. Duncan, you ran in the last election, and I noted the Municipal Review Commission asked candidates how the electoral process could be improved. Did you bring this up?
I brought certain things up, but I believe they fell on deaf ears. There are certain solutions that have been proposed here today from all three of us, Kerry Tarasoff, Zubair Sheikh, myself, that go even further than those feedback forms.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming.